Greetings and salutations, people of the internet. This is Wolfo Tech coming directly to you through the power of the internet via the YouTube video sharing platform. And today, bam, yes, A Shriek in the Night is the movie of review, and it stars the lovely and then incredibly talented Ginger Rogers, as well as Lyle Talbot. Ginger Rogers, beautiful and capable of acting as a character within a character. Darn good. Let's just continue on from there. It is, as I said, a 1933 movie called A Shriek in the Night. It is what it would be classified as a crime mystery, murder mystery. Okay. I would also throw in it's also a thriller from this era. You know, a thriller is spine tingling and dramatic. No, it's not the dramatic like William Shatner dramatic, but there's a lot of action to this. I would also like to throw in that it may not be classified as it, but it is also a bit of a comedy because there's some funny shtick that happens in this movie, and it comes at moments you do not expect it. There's a lot of back and forth or play between a lot of the main characters and the secondary tier characters, the tertiary tier characters, and the quadrutiary tier characters. And there's also very interesting observational positioning of the dumb comedy characters and their intelligence and spontaneous not being as stupid. But okay, I'm not gonna give away too much. First and foremost, as far as audio and sound is concerned, this movie is done very well as far as audio and sound is concerned. And vast majority of the time, there's hardly any real serious negative side to the audio. There is like one scene in there where the audio is just slightly off, but that's about it. As far as the effects and the visuals are concerned, the probably on the negative side is this movie starts out with a somewhat weak matte painting. If you look in there and you see this in the time, it's now playing now. But if you see this matte painting in the back, you see that and you will know that it is not an actual building, and so it kind of fails on a. It's done very well. There's very good lighting on it. The sun is traveling from this side. However, for this side, has too much illumination on the matte painting. The artist clearly had the intention the sun is coming from this side here, but failed to account for the proper shading to this side. So, and then they kind of they have a little issue here. This is a no spoilers review with just the credits going up in the beginning here. But the next thing they do is they do this zoom in effect here, part of the camera work. And the only thing I have to say about the zoom in effect is that it brings out the fact that it is a matte painting and it is not real. It is the dimensions, the quality of the angles to project the sense of depth is done very well, but the artist did a poor job of setting up the lighting. So the sunlight clearly feels as if there's this draw line right here that the sun is coming from this side and partially illuminating. Then there's this shadow line, but it is too bright down on these faces here and across here. If it's giving the light angle, there's just a few too many issues right there. And this leads into the next scene where the initial murder occurs, and this is a no spoilers review, but yeah, that's not a person. You can tell when you see the dummy fall and hit the ground and it bends and folds in an awkward manner. This is like literally the weakest point in the movie is literally the beginning point. The moment after this, the quality of the movie goes uphill. Okay, so at first when I first saw this scene and saw the matte painting, I thought this was a movie that was done just well. They were telling a story, but they were just doing the effects just well enough to get by. No, actually, it gets smarter and better from here on. Apparently, they might have been a little short on money when they got to this scene and the matte painting. Okay, so. Other than that, this is the beginning, the very beginning point of the movie is the weakest moment of the movie. Overall, the movie goes up in quality as you go along. Onto the camera work, I just kind of touched on this. Camera work is done very well, except for there's this awkward, not so good beginning part of it. When you actually are watching and you have the sound and you see the dummy hit the ground, it doesn't play a effect authentically. Okay, so so the quality is just not kind of crumples. So there. The next thing is into the acting and the storytelling. By the way, the acting is done very wonderfully by all the actors. The dummy is probably the worst actor in the movie. Not the two dumb characters, but I mean the dummy they threw off the building. That's the worst acting of the entire movie. And then as far as the story is concerned, there is a lot of... there's basically it's a three-way major lead character protagonist in this position between the initial main character and then the two latter main characters, and then they're playing off trying to figure out how to solve the case. But then there's also the fact that they are playing each other as they're doing it, and that comes off into a really interesting set of scenarios where they're allying up and screwing with each other as they try to get to the end point. And there's a lot of interesting character dynamics going on in there. The main villain is the villains are basically in the shadows through the entire movie, which is a fundamentally good decision on the part of a story writer. If you are doing a mystery, you're doing a mystery or a horror movie or something like that, it's always good to have your big bads or your monsters out of sight. The bad things are happening, but people are not quite sure who is doing it. And then there's a lot of pointing, trying to figure out where the big bad is and who the big bad is or what the big bad is. And this movie does a very good job of it. And it also does a few really good components on top of that of putting the big bads just in sight, but you do not immediately know that they are in sight. They are in and out and here and there, and they're mentioned, and people are theorizing as to the relationships of that, but they don't have all the pieces yet, and it all comes together at the end very interestingly. So I'm going to say this is, yet again, the movies from the 1930s. You know, the effects are okay to good for the era, 30s, 40s, 50s. But the true quality of a lot of those movies from that era comes down to the interesting angles and bits and pieces they put together in the story to keep you interested and keep you moving along. They bait you in with red herrings here and there. They might not even use red herrings in the conventional sense, and they might do a double red herring where they fake you away from the actual villain, point you towards the actual villain, and then pull you away from the actual villain. And so it's quite frankly a very fascinating movie in itself. I do say that this is a good movie. It is, as far as everything is concerned, it's just above mid-tier, but it is not top tier. Okay, the story and the acting is more towards the upper end, and as everything else, but everything else is a little further down from the top end. So if you're truly into interesting characters and story and interplay between characters, this is a good movie, okay? If you're in for effects, it's not terribly good. There is some really interesting ideas that are played out in this movie as far as murder, mechanisms of killing, and so on and so forth. But I would just say, okay, that's probably the best. One of the best moves right there, actually. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you dislike this video, leave a dislike. Hey, if you want to leave a comment, go ahead and dump a comment in the comment section below, okay? I pretty much read every comment that comes through the channel, even the stuff that gets labeled spam. If I have time, I'll pull open the spam tab in the creator studio and see what people have left. A lot of times, the creator studio, a lot of times YouTube will pull out a lot of stuff is like, if you type down, oh, nice video, come and check out my video, it's going to get put into the spam folder in the creator studio. I typically check that as approved for my channel when I catch it. So I'm not the kind of person who believes in filtering what people say. But I would really like it if you say something more than waffle, 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 okay? Unless you want to go waffle, waffle, waffle. Tasty, tasty waffles. Or do you want a box, or the mystery box, or a boat? Okay? Go ahead, if you want to leave nonsense in the comments, go ahead and leave nonsense in the comments. Just don't copy paste too much, otherwise the YouTube algorithm will catch it and treat it as spam and throw it in the spam jail. And then I have to go and dig it out of spam jail. Okay? Thank you very much for watching. So long, and thank you for all the fish.